America, what is going on? Hope everybody's having a great day today. Hey, listen, if this is your first time tuning in, I want to give you a special welcome, and I'm excited that you're here. If you don't know me, my name is Nick. I'm the founder of Triple J. If you don't know what I do or what Triple J per se really does, a Triple J is a marketing platform and brand that seeks to inspire and empower you, whether you are a business owner, an entrepreneur, digital marketer, or just a business professional. And I really want to educate and empower you with the latest and greatest marketing strategies that are being used by Fortune 500 companies. So whether you're using it for a personal brand or just for your own enjoyment, my goal is to share with you the latest insights and to really give you the best content on the planet as it pertains to marketing. If this is your first time tuning into the show, I have what I like to call shows within the show here at the Triple J podcast, okay? The episode that you're watching today, right now, is a Q&A section, okay? As I'm sure you can imagine, this is where you provide the questions and I give you the answers. If you have a question that you want me to answer for a later episode, there are a few different ways in which you can do that. The first of which is you simply message me on my LinkedIn at Nick Edwdards. That is the fastest way to reach me. If you have a question, a comment, concern, whatever it is, that's the way to do it. That is the fastest way to get yourself on one of these Q&As. There are a couple other ways you can do it as well. You can email me your questions at triplejstudios with 2 S's at gmail.com. Or you can fill out the contact information that is on my website at triplejstudios.com. You can do any 3 of those, all of which are good. There is no wrong answer. And all of those methods are going to be linked down in today's show notes so you can take a look at it and fill it out for yourself. But we don't just do Q&As. It's not the only thing here that we do. Now, we also have other segments, okay? So another segment we have is Real Talk. Okay, Real Talk is a 5 to 20 minute episode where I give you some real talk, advice, counsel, and sometimes I share with you latest marketing strategies. Okay, our last episode, our most recent one, was on a Real Talk. So if you want to kind of get insight on what that looks like, go take a look at that episode after listening to this one, and it'll make a little bit more sense. We also have other longer segments too. Okay, one of my favorites is PTI, or we peruse the internet, okay, for the latest and emerging marketing strategies and news. And I share with you my insights on why you should or should not implement some strategies that businesses are currently using. Okay, also have my marketing case study episodes where I basically review my latest marketing case study and share my thoughts on a more deeper and more intimate level. Okay. The final type of episode format that we have here on the podcast is your typical run-of-the-mill episode where I'll invite a guest and we talk all things marketing, branding, personal development, everything under the marketing and business umbrella. Okay, I have an episode coming out very soon with our first guest, and I'm excited to share with you that project. But that, in a nutshell, are all the shows within the show. So if you're interested in taking a look at any of those other formats, take a look at the library on Spotify. They have all of them. I believe this is our 14th episode now, which we're getting up there, man. We're slowly getting our way to 25. It'll be really cool once we get to that point, because then it's like a quarter life crisis, but not really, because it's a podcast. I don't know. We're going to make it past 100 though. Don't worry. But like I said, this is our Q&A episode. But before we begin, I want to share with you the fee. This is the one thing that I ask for the entire show. Okay, I'm not looking for you to follow me on social platforms or to even subscribe to my newsletter or to give me money. Okay, don't give me money. I'm not asking for any of that. The one thing I am asking though is if you find the show valuable in any sort of way, or you think someone would really enjoy it, that you know, the only thing that I ask is that you share the show. Wow, that kind of rhymed. But it's true. If you find it valuable, just share the show. It's a way of saying thank you. It's a kind gesture, and it lets me know that I'm doing a good job of what I'm doing. And I ask in turn that if you don't find it valuable, then you don't have to share it. But if you know me, then you know that one thing that I prioritize is value in what I offer to you as the listener. So share the show. All right. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into our Q&A. So like I said, these are comments that you guys have submitted to me, and I'm going to answer them to the best of my abilities. And like I said, I am no expert, but I'm going to do my absolute best. So let's start off. Let's kick it off. This was a comment I actually got on my LinkedIn on a particular case study. And this case study was the Anthony Edwards Adidas AE1. If you're curious on reading that case study, I'll leave it linked in today's show notes so you can take a look at it. But this is the comment that I got, and this is the question that I'm going to answer first. It reads, "Hey Nick, fantastic breakdown and a great campaign of the Anthony Edwards AE1 case study. Hats off to Adidas for doing something more than a 30-second ad." It's very true. Edwards' 2-minute video was good, but where is the documentary? My question is this: why did they not remember to do something in longer form? Can you imagine the depth and brand development opportunities they could have had with a longer format over the past 11 months? This feels like a great opportunity for Adidas to make a more cohesive story. What are your thoughts? That is a loaded question. So obviously, if you haven't been sleeping under a rock, then you at least know who Anthony Edwards is. But just to provide a little bit more insight, I will show you my marketing case study on Anthony Edwards here. So let me pull up my screen. So if you're watching or listening to this on audio, I encourage you to take a look and tune into the video as well. This way you're able to get a greater insight on what's going on. And so you're able to kind of see. All right, so this is the video here. This is the marketing case study that I did on the AE1. And this is also available on my website for you to view, but I wanted to show it here in LinkedIn format just because it's pretty easy. So this is Anthony Edwards here. This is the guy, and if you look closer, this is his shoe. This is the AE1. In my opinion, this is the basketball sneaker of this entire year, at least during the NBA season. And there is a lot of buzz going around this guy, this man, Adidas, and his shoe. So the big issue and the big question that this guy has answered is how come they haven't done something longer? So to give additional context, a lot of the videos that Adidas has currently done to promote Anthony Edwards and his signature shoe has mainly been within the 30-second type of range, 30 to 60-second short film, consumable type of content that is primarily used on, platforms like Instagram and TikTok and even Twitter too. A lot of these, as you see here on this case study, I embedded from X, or formerly known as Twitter. So as you can see, it takes you through the entire cycle, right, from start to finish. The one thing that Adidas did do, like the follower mentioned, was this Remember the Why video. Now this video is only a few minutes long, but it only kind of hints at a little bit. You get a glimpse at who Anthony Edwards is, but you don't get the whole idea behind it. He basically just explains his story and him growing up. That's linked here, embedded on my LinkedIn post and on the website. So if you want to take a look at it, just head over there. You'll be able to look at it. But how come they haven't done something longer? And what's the whole deal behind it? Well, there's two things that I want to point out here. They want to get this right. Since this is such a big platform now that Adidas and Anthony Edwards have created within the past year, they want to get this right. This is not something you can kind of do a trial run with, especially as it pertains to a documentary. A documentary is you want to hit it right the first time and nail it and hit it out of the park, right? That's the goal with this. And so Adidas and Minnesota Timberwolves are really taking their time here. They do acknowledge, though, that this is a big deal and they do want to capitalize off it. And while it has taken 11 months, I do agree, it has taken a long, long time. And I think they could have done something earlier than that, but they are in the works of it happening. So I do want to reference two quick things that I did a little bit of digging for. The first of which is the NBA has actually released kind of a short docu-series with a bunch of NBA players for the year. And while I won't share the entire video, the whole goal of this is really to showcase the player and what it's like during the season, during the off season, and just how they really grew up to be. And so this is the second season that the NBA has launched this type of video format. I believe the first episode was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with the Thunder. if I'm not mistaken. But typically, all of these players that the NBA is interviewing are players that are generally all-stars or above, right? And Anthony Edwards, I would say, is an undisputed superstar, at least as of this point in his career. And so it makes sense for the NBA to do something like this. This kind of goes through the entire cycle. And so I want to share with you just what this is about. So Tana just gives a broad idea. It's talking about the next generation of players, and sure enough, fits right in that criteria. See here all of his highlights, his tenacity on the court. I mean, it's clear that this guy's at the top of his game. Saying that the game is in good hands. So this is the Pass the Rock series that the NBA is currently using. So this is just Anthony Edwards' life outside of basketball. Right, so he's just playing a game here with his family, just having fun. This is his personality. This is his brand, is tenacity on the court and fun off the court. You know? So he's just walking through about his stories and just how he got to the NBA, especially with his brother. So it's a big deal that stuff like this is going out. So like you can see here, this is around a 13-minute video. Now, this is definitely a longer format than the 2-minute video and, of course, the 30-second videos that we commonly see, at least with this campaign. And another thing to note here is that this has nearly 120,000 views, which for a video that's 12, 13 minutes, that's good engagement. That's a good retention rate that I think the NBA is getting at. But with a documentary, you're typically getting at least into the hour, if not more. So where is Anthony Edwards fitting into all this? Well, here's some news that I did find out is this. Anthony Edwards will be featured in an NBA Netflix documentary. And this is actually really fascinating. It's not just Edwards, though, so it's not just specifically designed for him. There will be a couple other players as well that will be featured within this entire documentary, but all of which are going to be covering kind of the stardom of this player. And so the entire documentary that the NBA is creating is, as you can see here, is going to be modeled after Netflix's Quarterback series, which basically is very similar to what they're trying to do here. So as it reads, this series, which has already started filming, will reportedly be modeled after Netflix's Quarterback documentary that featured Vikings Kirk Cousins, or now he's on, I believe the Falcons is what he's on now. But regardless, Kirk Cousins and a couple other quarterbacks throughout the 2022 season. And it reads here later on, the NBA series that Edwards will be a part of will follow around Edwards along with players such as LeBron James, Jason Tatum, Jimmy Butler, and Sacramento forward Domantas Sabonis. So this should be a very interesting type of documentary. Now, there are a couple upsides and a couple downsides when you kind of plan this type of stuff out. The upsides is simply the anticipation that you get. And especially with these types of stars that you're dealing with, you know, you have guys that have been around the league for a long time, like LeBron and Jimmy Butler. He's been there for quite a bit. But then you have, you know, some new guys in the mix as well with Edwards and Tatum, and you can even throw, you know, some bonus in there too. So this is going to be a very interesting documentary that's definitely going to get people's attention. Now, I don't want to say the downside, but at least the risks that the NBA is currently rolling with this dice is the fact that, at least for the younger players, we don't really know how their career is going to turn out, right? Obviously, Lord willing that their careers continue to flourish and blossom into the players that they're wanting and supposed to be. But if something bad were to happen, whether it's an injury or they just fall out of the league somehow or whatever it is, right, that could completely alter this entire documentary's position in terms of how popular it is, how it resonates with fans, and most importantly, how much revenue it's going to bring in for both Netflix and the NBA. So these are things to consider, but it's cool to know that Edwards is going to be featured in an upcoming documentary. So at least to answer your question, I wish they had a designated documentary for Edwards because I think he is well good enough to be in that range. He has the swagger, the confidence, the skill. He checks all of the boxes and he passes the eye test for when it comes to rating a superstar player. But that might be something we will see later on. I'm not entirely sure. But regardless, it's still good to know that this is out and about and in the works. Now, at least as of this article, this was written as of the beginning of this year in January of 2024. I don't believe there was a release date set for this documentary. It doesn't look like it. It kind of just shows the news. So this could be something that comes out within a year or two. It could be later than that. It's kind of up in the air. Obviously, I wish it was sooner the better, but with documentaries, they need to take their time and make sure they get it right. And I believe that they're going to, but we might have to wait a little bit longer than expected. So that's at least as of today of what's going on with Anthony Edwards. But I think too, to end and kind of wrap up this question, I think if they leveraged more long form content, it gives customers and fans just something to sink their teeth into and actually understand who Edwards is beyond basketball. We're all so used to seeing the same thing all of the time. And while it's still cool to see all of the highlights, it's not necessarily refreshing content that's going to keep people around for a long period of time. What does that is actually building a relationship, a connection, and actually having some resonation with the player and, someone's personal life. So if someone grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, and maybe played AAU basketball against Edwards, having that story and him tell that story would resonate with them more and kind of build a stronger connection than what it was before. And that's just a small example of what could really go on. But I think that's something that, Edwards and the NBA should at least consider. But hopefully that answers the first question. So let's get into the second one. I think it's going to be a good one too. Just want to quick sip of water real quick. Second question reads, "Hey Nick, quick question. What is the one thing you wish you had known before beginning your marketing journey? I just graduated high school and I'm wanting to make the most out of my time before I begin school in the fall. Any advice is appreciated." Well, first of all, congratulations on graduating high school. Obviously, it's a big achievement. I'm very proud of you for doing that. And taking a step into college is another big deal. And before we even get into the question, I want to say this. Having an idea and a plan of what you want to do when you start college, you're already ahead of everybody else. Because most people that enter school, whether private or public school, at least for university, they're not necessarily thinking about this type of stuff the second they get there. They're thinking, who can I make friends with? What different activities and clubs can I join? All good things. But thinking of the future in that retrospect is not very common. So the fact that you're doing it now is respectable. Kudos to you. The one thing that I will say, though, that I wish I knew before I got into my freshman year of school is if you are into marketing, if you are a creative, if you are into advertising, if you can do any type of freelance work, is basically what I want to say. It is imperative, it is crucial for you to build a personal portfolio. I didn't really know this until I was probably just about to graduate college. So it took me a long time to realize it. But what's the whole reasoning and why is it important? Well, this is an article I want to share with you and how to basically create a strong marketing portfolio and why you should really do it in the first place. So this is a blog post that Wix put out pretty recently. And it basically includes why you need a marketing portfolio, as you can see here in the title. And obviously, it's a valuable asset for any marketing expert looking to highlight their achievements and the skills that they've done in past jobs. But this is the part that I want to really highlight here that I think most people typically miss. The resume tells the world what you do. A portfolio shows how you do it. Okay. This makes your experience more compelling to your job recruiters or prospective clients. Okay. People are more likely to show interest in your work if you provide them with evidence of your achievements. Whether your marketing specialty is SEO, advertising, social media, or any other type of online or offline marketing, showcase it with your own portfolio. Okay. Having something that you can physically show to recruiters and other employers is simply evidence of why you should hire me. Why? Because people are going to ask you this question. Why should we hire you at this job? Why should we really take to heart what you're saying or what the different statistics that you're telling us? And I'm a big believer in this, there is a dramatic difference between showing versus telling. Okay. I can tell you about a product all day long. I can say all the different parameters, all the different statistics, all the great things, why you should invest and do this and buy this product, whatever. Okay. That's essentially what sales people are. They are great tellers. Okay. Showers are a completely different side of the spectrum. This is where marketers typically tend to fall on if you do your job well. If you're a shower, you let the product do it. You let the product do the talking. You let the service do the talking. You let the brand do the talking. You let basically anything else do the talking except for you. Okay? You are the messenger that is the vessel between the customer and the product, or simply whatever the customer should buy into. Okay? So this portfolio acts the same way. Your portfolio is the vessel between you and the employer. This way, it takes the employer a lot less time in terms of evaluating and judging whether you would be a great fit for them or not. Totally okay. But your goal with building a portfolio is to showcase your skills and how valuable you can be towards a company. Okay? It's a big deal. So how did I actually incorporate this into my life? I'll share a little bit. Once I realized I needed a portfolio, I was like, you know what? This is something I need to do. Okay, especially if you're applying to these jobs, you're going to figure out sooner or later that they're going to ask for a portfolio. People are naturally going to want to see the work that you've done. And if you're not able to show them different works and different publications or writings or statistics that are visual, that they can see for themselves, it's going to be really hard for them to be convinced as to why you should do it for a couple reasons. One, they can't visualize it. And two, chances are somebody else applying for that exact same position already has a portfolio that's good to go. And so even if you have a portfolio that's not really well built or constructed, just having one to begin with is what you need. Okay. So for me, let me share with you my portfolio. I think this is important. It's important for me to share this with you. This is part of the reason why I created my website, Triple J Studios. Okay, because Triple J Studios for me, as you can see here, is not only just a personal brand. Triple J is also a platform for business owners, entrepreneurs, and everything else to discover and learn about marketing practices used by retail juggernauts like Nike, Adidas, Jordan Brand, etc. Okay, so this operates as two planes for me. I'm actually able to share my content with people so they can learn, right, similar to what I'm doing with you right now. And what's cool is this website is also a portfolio. How is it a portfolio, you ask? Go to the case study page. These are all of the case studies that I have done. Everything from my most recent case study on the Air Max DN influencer marketing, all the way down to a couple months ago where it was also on the Nike Air Max DN. So you get a glimpse at not only the different works that you've done, but also just how serious you are about your work. Okay. I'm very fortunate and thankful that I've been able to post a marketing case study pretty much every week for about 3 months now, 3.5 months, which has been going great. Okay. This is my 15th case study, and I'm going to continue to put out more case studies as time goes on. So this serves a lot of purposes, but one of which is that it actually acts as a portfolio that people can see. So when employers wonder like, hey, what's your portfolio like? I'm not going to lie, I will send them this link because it shows them all the different works that I have done. Okay, if they want more specifics, they can ask me for it for sure. And I'm continuing to build out this website, no doubt. But this is a good starting point, is just being able to share with people where you're at with this, because that way they can actually see for themselves all the things you did, right? What's easier for you to evaluate? if I just gave you a list of all the different case studies that I've done in the past, or if I actually shared with you this link and you're able to see all the different things yourself, right? If you're able to click into each one here and say, oh, like this is actually a very detailed, in-depth case study, and he's pretty serious about it. And oh, by the way, he's done 14 other ones as well. And this is not meant to be a boastful type of segment. This is more so just to share with you just how much you can accomplish when you have a physical portfolio to share. So that is the number one thing that I would share with you that I wish I'd done sooner. And here's the thing. The earlier you start, the more you're going to have for your portfolio, okay? Especially if you have other internships or other opportunities and you're able to take bits and pieces that you've worked on and actually put them with a portfolio, and that's great. And it doesn't have to be within a website or a domain. It can simply be within a Google Doc. It can be within a PDF document, a presentation, whatever you want, that way people know. You just need to have it be shareable so that way other employers can take a look and see what's going on so they can look at it themselves. But that in a nutshell is what I would say. All right, knowing went kind of quick, but essentially that's really what it is, man, is if you really want it, you'll go out and do it, right? You'll make time for it, okay? And the fact that you're already thinking about this now, you're already so many steps ahead. And if you want to get another couple steps ahead of that, start a portfolio as soon as you can. I would say start it before you even go into college, because that way you're actually able to share with people for internships, right? I don't know of a lot of freshmen in college that have a portfolio to share, okay, unless it's related to photography. So having one, there are no downsides to having a portfolio. But enough of that. Let's get into our final question. This one's interesting. I got a good laugh out of this one, but it provides some good insight, so I want to share it with you. It reads, Nick, how did Scottie Scheffler's legal troubles help or hurt Nike? I would assume it definitely affected his relationship with Nike, but I can't help but think it brought more attention to his name and maybe more sales in the process. What is your take? I keep up with golf news, so seeing this is like, you know what? I'm glad I got this question. So if you're not familiar in the golf world, Scottie Schleffler is the number one ranked golf player in the world. Okay, you've probably heard of his name or floating around after he won the Masters this year and a couple other tournaments as well. Okay, and I want to share with you this article that ESPN posted. But Scottie Schleffler was arrested before the championship, the second round of the PGA Championship just this past week due to some automobile, misunderstandings. I won't get too much into it. You can read it for yourself. I'm also just not an expert into what actually happened and what was right and what was wrong and what was confusing. I'm not entirely sure, but do due diligence in your research. But you can see here, he got a mugshot and everything. Like this really did happen. And I think people were not expecting this at all on their bingo cards for the year. But needless to say, it definitely got the golf world on fire for this type of stuff. So obviously the common phrase is any bad press is still press, right? Like it's bad news will still sell. In fact, that's how it's always been, man. You take a look now at social media, you take a look at the news, you take a look at any big news outlet, okay? All of their main headlines that they are promoting typically tend towards the bad news side of things, okay? So when news outlets found Scottie Schleffler was arrested for some automobile incidents, of course they're going to run away with that one, no problem. I'm not saying that I support that or I think that's a good thing, take it for what it's worth. We'll maybe talk about it in a real talk later on, but it definitely gets people's attention. And this right here definitely got the attention of me and other golfers around the world. So did this actually affect Nike's press? Well, here's the deal. Scottie Schleffler is an athlete with Nike. Okay, he has I would assume, a pretty hefty endorsement deal with them since he is the number one golfer in the world. So he can afford to do that, right? No problem. But did it affect his sales? Well, here's the thing. Was it a bad image that Scottie Schleffler got? Potentially. But here's the thing. It definitely brought more attention to not only Nike, but to his own name, basically. And I want to share with you this Google Trends search of Scottie Schleffler. So over the past 30 days, Scottie Schleffler, I believe this was a month ago when he won the Masters. It might have been just a little over 30 days. But it will show you the time for when Scottie Schleffler got arrested and the times when he wasn't. So let's take a look at this. This is fascinating. So this is the past 30 days when you type in Scottie Schleffler on Google. Okay, this is a free website you can use. It's literally Google Trends. But you can see here, not a lot of people were looking up Scottie Scheffler's name. I honestly would have thought this would have been higher because he recently won the Masters, but I guess people already knew him, so it wasn't a big issue. But as you can see here, it was at 1 or less than 1 for pretty much the entire month of May and late April until this massive spike here, May 17. This is a week ago from today when I'm filming this. And it also happened to be the exact day when Scottie Schleffler got arrested. Okay? And on Saturday, it dropped pretty heavily to 38, Sunday to 20, and it started to level back to where it was normally, just around 5 to 8 in there. So a little higher, but nothing too crazy. Definitely not like this. So this is the clear evidence and telltale sign that this accident that happened with Scheffler, it definitely got people's attention for sure, at least for his name and probably for Nike as well. Now, I'd imagine the golf community loves Scottie Scheffler, so I think the incident that he had with the law, I don't think would affect Nike sales that much. And if anything, it would probably help just because of how popular this golfer really is on the PGA Tour. But I mean, do you even need anything else? Like, that's really it. So this is what it looked like over the past 90 days. Okay, so this makes more sense. So you can see here that this spike on April 14 was when Scottie won the Masters. Okay, it was at 43. Less than half of what it was last week. This is crazy stuff, guys. I'm glad I'm sharing this with you. If you're on video, if you're on audio, man, you're missing out. Go take a look at it. This is crazy stuff. Like, it's crazy to see just how the world kind of reacts and just how fast things go, man. Things come and go, and that's not a surprise. But when it's something this big, it's crazy. Like, the Masters is the biggest golf tournament of the entire year. And so obviously got a bunch of press when he won, but then it quickly went away just days later, like 2 days later, actually. Went down quite a bit. This is when he won another championship here. And then it got really quiet for a little while. And then all of a sudden got arrested. Boom. Crazy. So what can we learn from this? Well, bad news still sells, guys. Bad news still gets views. It still gets impressions. In fact, I would actually argue that bad news gets more impressions than good news. Okay, and if you're looking for an example of that, like this is a clear example of it right here, right? Good news, won the biggest tournament of the year, won over $3 million, won another golf tournament, gets arrested for an auto accident, more than double. Insane. So that's just something to keep in mind, like, obviously this happens with a bunch of athletes, but when you're the number one guy in the world at your sport and something like that happens, yes, it's unfortunate and life happens, but people are going to be looking at you. It's something else, man. Honestly, you can't make this up. Everything still sells, bro. It just does. But in short, that was the Q&A for today. Remember, if you guys enjoyed and have any questions you want to send me, make sure you take a look at today's show notes below. All the information will be down there. Make sure you pay the fee if you enjoyed, found it valuable. Make sure you share the show, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.